Dr. Moore, again, what we're reviewing is not a scientific report. It's a summary for policymakers of a scientific report that has not been made public. Is that science in your understanding of the term?
Well, it's certainly not science to pretend that something isn't happening yet is already happening. That's how I read this. There's a big confusion between historical and present facts versus prediction of apocalypse in the future, which we don't know is going to happen or not, so it's easy to make up scare stories about. I have an essay titled 12 Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom, and carbon dioxide, an endangered species, in this case, the invisible 6.2 million species. You cannot call yourself a scientist if you pretend that there are 6.2 million species that have no names and have never been identified. That is not science. That is fiction. It is made-up fairy tale stories. And that's what we're being told here. In the same way as I challenge people to please tell me one factor in weather or climate that is anywhere near out of line today with the last 10,000 years of this Holocene interglacial period. Just one. The IPCC clearly states that there is no trend in extreme weather events, and yet that's all we hear from the alarmists, is extreme weather. They used to tell us, oh, no, don't confuse climate with weather. That's not climate, that's just weather because it was cold last winter or whatever. Now they talk about nothing but extreme weather events, and the fingerprints were on that hurricane, the fingerprints of climate change.
The Paris Treaty and the Green New Deal are all about reducing carbon dioxide. Is that going to make a significant difference on the major drivers that have pushed our climate back and forth through glacial periods and warming periods for 4.5 billion years?
First of all, there is no hard evidence that CO2 has anything to do with the changing temperature of the Earth's climate. Secondly, CO2 is the most important food for all life on Earth. All the carbon in all carbon-based life, which is ourselves and all other life, came from carbon dioxide in the air and the water. Carbon dioxide has been declining steadily for the last 150 million years to its lowest level in the history of life on Earth at the height of the last glaciation, 180 ppm. The reason for this is that life itself has sucked the carbon out of the system and put it into sediments as fossil fuels, but much more importantly, as carbonaceous rocks, a fancy term for limestone, calcium carbonate. That's where all the carbon went. And we, thankfully, are putting some of the CO2 back into the air that was sucked out by life over the millennia and are restoring a balance to the global carbon cycle.
Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Thank you.